So this one, modifying list inside tuple. So I've taken this list.
Okay.
I have created a tuple
Okay.
and I have added the list related data here.
Okay.
And I have added some 10 value.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I print tuple, I am getting the updated value.
Correct. That is fine.
Okay, so is this the right way?
This is correct now. So what is happening is you are doing the append into your list. Okay.
Uh,
And
okay.
when you are doing the append into your list, and this is a variable which has certain memory into your system. So this memory has certain
Mhm.
data. So when it is
Okay.
updated, your tuple will also get updated because it is referring to my list, right? It is pointing
Uh,
to your list. So that's
uh,
where when you directly give the variable, it is pointing to that memory location, not the exact data. So that's where
okay.
it is whatever it is doing is correct. This is adding an item. What I asked is, let's say, did you try to modify any of the items inside it? Let's say you defined your
Inside tuple,
tuple, right? Inside tuple also,
yeah, I've
inside list
defined
also. Okay.
uh, yeah, second one, what I did is I've taken tuple. If you want to modify tuple,
Mm-hmm.
I have converted that to list.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have added some values to the list, and then I've converted back to tuple.
Okay. That is just typecasting, right? This method is called as
Uh,
typecasting. So what it
yeah.
does it whenever you use this keyword, no, it will change your data type. So it is simply changing of data type. So what I asked is to modify the elements of that particular variable. Let's say you have a tuple, right? If
Hmm.
you want to change certain values, let's say you want to make banana to coconut, can you do that?
Okay. Change a certain values. I think that I tried doing it. I gave it that error.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like if we say probably if we take this one, then this one will become from 12 to 12.00.
Okay.
I'm trying to print my list. I mean, like
The name
banana to
is
coconut.
okay. Mhm. The name, whatever you are giving, is correct. So one is capital L, one is small l. It is taking some other values.
Okay, okay. That one, that was the mistake. Okay, okay.
Hmm. It is fine now.
But
See,
this one, how this one changing this one to coconut? I am.
same thing. No, see list you have done no from 12 to
Uh,
12.2. The same way you can do it by indexing. So you call
uh,
that particular element with the index method, like you did for the list, and then do the
okay, like
assignment.
two on my.
Let's say I'll give you something in the chat. Okay. This is the second. Same thing. Uh, you have to change test 3 to
Um,
test 5.
okay.
I can see a notepad. Uh, okay, I'm copying it.
Yeah, I'm just
Fine.
pasting it.
Mhm.
Test test underscore tuple.
You can copy
Okay.
both the variable in single cell now. No problem. It is two different
Um,
items.
okay. Um, both these variables I'm copying and Python basics. Test and now change test 3 to test 5. Okay. This test 3 can it's inside tuple. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Test list of this can be test list of
So it is the second first 0, 1, 2, second index.
yeah, yeah.
So you can
So
directly use second index, try to execute it. You can see that the values are correct or not. If it is coming
okay,
correct, then you can do the assignment by n equal to. Okay.
okay. Print okay. Mhm.
Yeah. Keep this block of cell as separate and use next cell to do your execution so that you don't have to interfere with the variables again and again.
Okay,
Okay, just check if I have missed something. Okay. Usually test 1, test 2, test 3, and test 4, test list. Okay.
test and test.
Uh, just check. I think something is mismatched. Okay, the list has been changed to tuple and the tuple has been changed to
Okay,
list.
okay, okay.
And how this comma came, I didn't give any commas, but I can see it in my. Okay.
Okay, and this
Okay.
should be
Modify
tuple.
it. Modify it. Little. There is some
Mm,
typos.
okay,
Yeah.
now test list of two.
Correct. Now tuple also modify it. There is no list.
Okay,
You have kept it in the list. Remove that. The first square bracket.
this one.
Remove it. Remove it.
Okay,
And then change the curly braces inside of it to square braces. Sorry, the
this one.
parenthesis to square braces. Not before test 3, there is a opening of parenthesis, right? Change
Yeah,
it to square brackets. After test 4, make a closing square bracket, and after that, closing parenthesis. Perfect. Yeah, this works. Execute it now.
this one is actually I'm
Execute the
getting error.
cells. Because you have not assigned, you have to execute the
Okay,
cells now.
okay. Shift enter
Invalid
and check.
character. Can you change your this colon the colons
Okay,
change? Can you change it to the comma apostrophes? Can you
yeah,
change it to your type? Change
yeah.
everyone to your type. Okay, something. I'm using a Mac OS, so maybe that is the case.
Okay,
Yeah, same for your second variable also. It was different Unicode characters. Okay.
okay,
Yep. Now you have your variables.
okay,
Now try to change test3 to test5.
okay. Test list of two. Test list of two is equal to, sorry, this one, right? Or
No, no, no. The square bracket
this
only.
is one.
Indexing works with square brackets.
Oh, okay. Test list of two is equal to test of five.
Two, two is the entire thing. Okay. Test3 and test4.
Okay, two
So,
comma zero.
yeah, inside it also you can do the indexing. Yes. 0 will fetch you test3. 1 will fetch you test4. Not
Like this,
not
right?
like that. Not like that. Uh
Mm.
okay. So understand something. When you have your element, right, consider
Uh-huh.
it as one object, and in that object, if you want to search for the index, then you have to explicitly ask for it. So again, a square
Okay,
bracket. This is the correct method, what you have written right now.
okay, okay, okay,
Yeah. And then try to print this, and then try to print the entire list. not just the
Okay.
index, in the
Oh,
entire
sorry.
list. Okay, do it.
I
See,
tuple object does not support item assignment.
that's how it is immutable, right? So it is not, you cannot change the values. Like in our
Ah,
previous class, I told you that
mm,
you cannot change the values of a tuple. In the complex
okay.
data type, it is not a mutable item. It is
Okay.
immutable. So that's
Mm,
why you cannot able to change the value. But try the other
okay.
way around. Try for your tuple now.
Okay. I'll put it in another cell.
Yeah, yeah.
Test
No problem.
test
Keep the
tuple.
variable there.
This one, right?
Keep the variable there
Test.
only. Do the assignment.
Here
Very
only,
same,
right?
same way, yeah, same way, same tuple list
No.
work the very same. It's just one of
Okay.
the data type is different.
Print test.
This worked, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
See, this is the thing. This is one
Okay.
of the
Okay.
conceptual things where you are
Okay.
changing the
Okay.
value of a tuple. Why?
Hmm.
Because it has a list, and lists are mutables.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that is the
Okay.
reason you could able to change it, but the other way around it was not possible because a tuple is an immutable thing, and you cannot just change the value directly by assignments. So
Okay.
that
So
is the thing I
all
wanted to
it
do.
matters is that where we are changing, like no matter
Yes,
if the tuple object is inside the list, it matters the tuple object, not the list one, the bigger
correct,
one.
correct.
Okay.
It always
Okay. Got
depends
it.
on what for which you are trying to do the assignment or which value you are trying to
Okay.
change and what part
Okay.
of what data type part it is. So
Okay. Okay.
that's how it
Okay.
works.
Okay. Okay. Understood.
Okay,
Yeah.
so okay, let me just share my screen. You can stop the share.
Okay.
Last class we left it here, right? So we were discussing
Yeah.
functions. Before that, we also checked about looping and conditionals. So I'll continue with functions today. Hopefully, you can try out, take your time, try out more complex codes or some statements, code statements, and try to use conditionals and for loops to see.
Okay.
Like you can do anything. You can, let's say, write a program of Fibonacci series, and all the input values you append it to a list. So the output list what you will give should contains all the values. And like that, you can practice
Okay.
something of
Okay.
your own.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll
Okay.
continue with functions. Let me just start my Anaconda also. Yeah. Hope I have no, I have not started it. Okay. 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 This thing. Fine. Right. So from here. So last class, let me release just this. Yep. So we checked on functions, right? So we checked about this functions, how we define a function in Python.
Yeah.
So a function is just a, independent block of code. Let's say have you heard of ERPs and CRMs? So these kind
Hmm.
of systems, right? When you develop these kind of systems, there are a lot of individual modules, and when you work on this what to say microservices, right? So when you try to develop certain application using microservices, so at that point of time it is very it plays a very crucial role so that you can keep independent block of codes and you can use the concepts of oops, So to develop your systems, okay, using Python programming when you're trying to do web development or some sort of development work, like
Okay.
API development or something for your CRMs and this kind of enterprise related applications. So at that point of time, functions are very useful, but also it is recommended to write functions because uh, so calling of functions, let's say when you are trying to do something, so you will always have your class, and inside that, when you will define your functions, it will be called as methods. And at that point of time, when you can create an initiator thing, so I'll come to that. This is part of today's class. So when you will initiate something, okay,
Mm-hmm.
beforehand, so at that point of time, it will consume very less memory and it will be very efficient, very quick in performance. So that is one beauty of function is very simple, starts with the def keyword, and you give your function a name and then your arguments, whatever your arguments you want to pass into that, and how you will handle your arguments inside it. And if you want to return something, there is a return keyword, but make sure like we maintain the indentation for conditionals and loops. So here also in function, to understand that this piece of this lines of code is basically a part of this function. So this indentation will help to understand that this is one part, one piece of code, one block of code, and this is the entire function. So that's how it will understand, and it is pretty much simple. So moving forward, so when I say functions, right? So whenever a functions like you see, we saw something like this dir. We use dirs, okay, and we saw that there is a class get class which is a double underscore methods. Okay, this is also a function. Very commonly are this greater than, equal to, and there is less than, length. So the length is also a function in here, and there are string functions, size of. So it will give you the memory allocations that it has for that particular. So this variable will give how much memory it holds. Size of will
Mm-hmm.
give you that. Set items, setters or getters, set attributes. So all these methods, right? These are functions. So which is defined under class dictionary. So these are
Okay.
the functions of dictionary. So likewise, there is a class and there are functions. So when I come to my next chapter, I'll come to this. But before this, there is a concept of object-oriented programming. So Python is very
Mm-hmm.
versatile. So it also has this object-oriented programming, and consider everything in Python which we call or define as something as of object. Okay, so whenever you define a variable and call the value or use any method, it is a kind of object. So like we did, right? We did dot append. So anything
Mm-hmm.
we had our list and we did a dot append or dot extend. So the entire this thing behaved as an object, and then we called upon the attributes from that particular list class. So that's how it works. So these are all methods which is predefined for a dictionary item. And
Okay.
likewise, one second, I'll just minimize. Uh, so basically, in object-oriented paradigm, we have our classes, and a class is basically a blueprint, basically a very common definition, which is a blueprint. So it is the entire outline of our main, let's say, when we define a variable or any certain unit of code which says that this is a complete module. So in that case, a class is the entire outline which contains lot of objects. Okay, like let's say we are trying to let's say there is a class called as vehicle, and this vehicle class has different attributes like name, year of manufacture. So all this will act as an object for that particular class. Okay, and
Okay.
it can also have certain methods in the sense like some functionalities the car can do. Okay, so it can start the acceleration, it can put on brake. So consider those things as methods. So when we call upon those methods, the particular car will perform that action. Okay, let's say I have a Toyota, or if I say that Toyota assign and class, create a class of car, and my objects and attributes are that I have a car of Toyota. So it's when I will call car dot name, when I okay, one second, I'll just put on this in the code itself. Okay, so let's say here I have a class of dog. So which is a very niche kind of thing, but we can have a class of animal. And let's say we
Mm-hmm.
have different varieties of dog. So there's always a initiator class. Okay, it initiates the object of that a particular class. So it will help you
Okay.
to understand how you can how are the methods have been called using that class. So it is like a constructor. Okay, and basically a constructor is a let's say how it is a collection of statements. Okay, instructions. Okay, it has some instructions. So when we will execute that, it will be called. So like when I use right dot name, so it will give me the name of whatever I have initiated over here with the class. See, we have created an object my dog, and how we have initiated the class, we have used the dog class name, and so
Mm-hmm.
standard format is class names starts with capital letters, so that's why
Mm-hmm.
capital D, but whereas the function name starts with small letters. Okay, so I assigned the object my dog by passing on the name as Buddy. Now this initiator class will understand that whatever has been passed as an argument or a parameter to this particular dog class, so it has a single value. So that's why it is already defined. It can take only single values. So it took the name and it assigned it to for this particular class, that this is the attribute of my class, or this is what value I am getting. So this is the name. And when I printed my dog dot name, right? So my dog object contains the name which I have assigned, which is called Buddy. This is a class and object approach, how it is taken. So this is a sample thing. So let's do an activity and understand how we can define a class and how we can set certain methods for it. Okay. Let me just
Okay.
to my notebook and let's work on the class thing. So what I can do here is uh, let's say I call a class as car.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing what we do is we will define the uh, init function. So the initiator function,
Mm-hmm.
as I told, this initiator is your constructor. It will construct the elements of the class or the attributes of the class. Okay, so
Okay.
it will help you like whenever you will pass certain values to your class. Let's say I've created car and I'll say as Toyota or anything, let's say Ferrari. When it will pass, so it will initialize the objects. Okay, and basically this keyword self will represent the instance of the class, and it will bind the attributes with the given arguments. Okay, so
Okay.
let me just write. So this is a particular method for this particular class. Okay, that's how it is being used. And for each of the class, it is important to define the init method. You can let's say if it is taking certain arguments, right, and when you are assigning an objects, and if it is taking certain arguments, you must have the initiator class. Whereas let's say if you have some private classes, okay, so or protected classes for which you don't want to change anything or you don't want to do any sort of assignment, it has
Mm-hmm.
just some methods that will be called. In that case, you don't have to define this in it, but usually for each of the thing, let's say what I'll keep brand model, and let's say year of manufacture. Okay, so this is one method, so initiator method, and self will bind the thing. So self dot brand is equals to brand. So
It's
it
like
will
car.
bind.
It's like
Sorry.
car dot brand, right?
Yes, for this particular class, it will bind the attributes. Okay, so whenever
Okay.
now anything when I'll call when I'll assign the object, right? When I call that object dot brand, it will give me the brand name.
Okay.
Okay, likewise, model
And I
self.
have one more query. So why we write it as self in the start? Self in
That's
the
right.
or in the after like
Yeah, so it
uh,
will
uh,
it will
uh,
it will bind that particular thing to your class. Okay, so
no
it
no no
is
not there. Like self comma brand comma model comma year, right?
oh,
That
okay.
self.
So that self, so it is considered as the class itself, the complete class itself. So whenever,
Okay.
as I told, like whenever we'll define an object, right? So it does the binding. So whenever I'll assign, let's say, one second, I'll assign the, let's say, when I'll do my car, okay, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
assign certain thing, okay. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll cause, this is a class that I'm calling, and I'll passing certain values to it. Like I'll pass brand as um, one Toyota. Um, ETOs, model is ETOs, make year is 2018, something like that. So whenever I'll pass it, right? So whatever values are passed, it will understand that this is for this particular class and bind it to this class itself. So that's how this self is used. So this
Okay.
self is a very important thing to do the binding. So in initiator, we usually pass this self keyword. So this is the intents or sorry, in instance of the class, and it will bind the attributes with the given arguments. Okay, so whatever
Okay.
arguments will pass, will bind it to that particular class. So many objects of the car class can be created using this by passing different names as arguments. Okay, let's say I
Okay.
can create multiple objects. My car one, my car two. Sorry, it is not defined yet, so that's why. So my car two. We can create multiple objects. So it will understand that whatever object you are creating, right, and you are calling upon this class. So this is for this particular object only. So that's how this binding
Mm-hmm.
works. So it keeps
Mm-hmm.
it completely isolated, and it doesn't it's like creating records, individual records, and it is not just like adding values to the class itself, but it is keeping independent record. Let's say you have a table. Consider it as a SQL table. The table name is car. Okay. So the car will have certain attributes, like understand it as columns. So it will have brand, it will have one column as brand, model, and year. So let's say there can be serial number also. So you can have the records of each of the car, like you have Ferrari, you have Toyota, you have Suzuki, you have Volkswagen, like that. So these are kind
Mm-hmm.
of making a record. Okay. So this will create different records under this particular table. Consider it as the analogy, the closest analogy is consider it as a SQL table, the table name, and it will have these is considered as your uh, columns or
Columns.
attributes, what we call it as. And this cell will help to understand that keep an individual or separate records, but it is under the same class. Okay, under the same table, keep the records. Whenever I'll assign an object, no, keep a same uh, uh, keep the records in the same table, and one second. Keep the records in the same table and bind that to that particular class. So that's how it works. That's why this self keyword is. I know this is a standard
Mhm.
format for Python. Uh,
Okay.
doesn't make a lot of sense for the people listening it to first time, but once you will keep on working to it, so you will have a hang of it. That's how
Okay.
the binding works for self. That's how the and init
Okay.
method is the initiator, a constructor of this class. So it will create
Okay.
the attributes. So that's how we are creating the attribute. Self is used to bind that particular attribute, this particular class, like a record. one single record. For this object, it is one single record. For another object, this is another record, like row 2,
Okay.
like that. Okay. And when I say car model year, so this is done, and I'll have what I can do. Let's say I have something called as start engine. Okay, and start engine, will I have to pass on something? No, but yeah, for each of the methods, right? So whatever methods you will define, it will take the self keyword, so that it will be
Okay.
individual for each of the objects that you will define in future.
Okay.
Okay, so what I can do is I can return something. I can return a print statement, but mm, well, let's say there is a way of doing printing also. And let's say what I can do is I'll keep self dot brand, and I'll keep self dot model. Uh, engine has started. Okay, something like this. Yep. Hopefully this works. So this is, I have defined one class. So it has a single method that can be multiple methods like apply breaks or something like that, just for
Mm-hmm.
understanding purpose. And it has certain attributes, whatever I have passed. And let's say I'll yeah, execute it. Yeah. So this has been, the class has been defined. Now I'll assign an object to it. Okay. Toyota. Okay. Okay. Sorry. It should be a string, right? Toyota, it is not a method. And this also 8 years. Now it should work. Yeah. And if I want to check my car, if you will just print my car, so you can see that it is pointing to your class, okay, at this memory location. So,
Mm-hmm.
and now if I want to fetch in, right, let's say I want to do start engine,
Mm-hmm.
start my engine. Okay, and I'll run this. See, Toyota Etios engine has started. So it binded with that. Now let me define one more method in the same. Okay. My second car. Okay. I'll keep this Ferrari, right? Any model, 201 or something. Okay, 2015 to change the value. Okay. And let's say I'll create these two things. Now when I'll start the engine, Toyota engine started, and when I'll select upon my second object and I'll do the start engine, see, it will say that Ferrari 201 engine has started. And even I can access the attributes of it. Let's say you don't remember this, what is this record is for. So
Mm-hmm.
this record, you want to check what is the model. There can be unique keys also, like ID or something, right? Make
Mm-hmm.
make ID or something like that. So you can access the model also. Okay. So model says uh mm, okay, the last one is executing. Okay, but fine. It will give you the model also. You can check on the brand. You can check on the year of manufacture, like that. Same you can do with this. So this is how a class is defined, and this is your object. So initiating an object, sending the certain attributes for this class, but for the class to understand, there should be an initiator which will construct the attributes for it, and it should have all the particular thing. Let's say if I pass something extra also, it will not understand. Okay, if I pass something extra like 100, top speed is 100, uh, let's say top speed is 200, something like that. Whenever I'll pass it, it will not understand that. Okay, because it will give you that the initiator method. So what will the part which construct this particular class, which has certain attributes predefined for it, and you are passing some extra elements which is not desired. So that's how it is giving you the error that it takes 4 positional arguments but 5 were given.
Okay.
Yeah,
I have one more query here.
yeah.
So again, in this one, start engine self. Okay. Return F. What is that F?
Okay, this is string formatting. Okay, so when I give this, no, this is a kind of print statement. So what are you doing with the
Okay.
print? No, this does the same thing. So let's say I want a string representation. This is a string,
Okay.
right? Under the this single
Quotes.
quotes, right? So in the single quotes, what is happening is I'm giving some curly braces. So whatever
Okay.
I'm giving inside the curly braces, no, it will understand it as variables or
Mm-hmm.
the variable values. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so that's how it will take. But the remaining part, it will understand it as a string. So
Okay. If
anything,
hyphen is nothing but a print statement.
yeah,
F
yeah,
colon.
yeah.
Okay. F is colon. Okay.
Yeah, so let's say
Okay.
you want basically it's a kind of print thing, but a string representation. But let's say why it is going to the
We
next.
can also write
Uh,
print in place of F.
yeah, you can use this also. Not you can do print, but you just don't use the curly braces and string representation. This F is for string representation. I'm just printing it, so you can do it here also. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry. In this cell will not work actually because it is outside the class. Okay,
Yeah.
I can do something like this also. It will give me it twice. Just a second, I'll do it here. So it will give me it should print it twice. Started from print, and let me just remove the extra parameters, and I'll remove this now. See, so this is a kind of just simple print representation, but what I am returning is a string representation of a value. So I'm entirely returning some sort of string value.
That
So
is fine,
that's
but
how.
I'm still not understanding what is the use of F character, F character, because print in the above line you have given
Mhm.
print, and again there also you have given F character.
So
What
F
is
is a
F
kind of
character?
escape sequence. Okay. So it's a special character escape sequence like you might have heard in print for new line you give /l or /n.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
So this is the same kind of thing. So it is a cape character which understand that whatever is under the curly braces, escape it from this string representation, but it is an actual value which is holded in some variables or some value which is already defined. So use that value
Okay,
instead. Okay. So
okay,
that's how we use character F, because if you don't use F, so entire thing becomes string. With the color code
okay,
only you can identify. Now my everything
okay,
is string only. Okay.
okay,
So when I give this scape sequence, it understand that this is a brand and a model. A simple scape sequence. There are multiple scape sequence. Let's say you want to give a new line break also, then and /n is the one. Yeah, see, one extra line got added. So these are a
mm-hmm.
few escape sequence. So this is a proper formatted string. Okay. Name says that it is a formatted string, but a special escape sequence has also been included, which is our curly braces.
Okay,
So this is how it reads. Apart from that, hope you understand this creating of class and assigning it to a object, right?
yes, yes,
You will gradually get the hold of it. This is something new, which is the advanced topics. Okay, in Python,
yes.
this is something new. Likewise, I created this initiator method. No, there can be predefined methods of this particular class, which says that it holds it for this particular class only. And whatever, let's say in place of car, if I had list class, which I have defined, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I've overwritten my list class, and we'll say other methods also, but let's say this is our list class,
Mm-hmm.
and I have defined lot of other methods, like you can change the value, you can change the attribute also, you can set the value, or you can do the sequencing, length, size of these kind of things. So I can define everything under that, under it, all the methods I can define, like def dot dot len function I can define, and pass on the self is a mandatory keyword. So return anything, return
Okay.
self, anything. Okay, so these kind of methods, right, whatever I'll write inside it, so these are called the methods of this particular class, which you can use to perform different functions or different what to say, different activities from that particular class. Likewise, there can also be certain class which is single underscore, and the single underscore is says that it is private method, and you do not interfere with any of the elements in that method. Okay, so it is advisable. So let's say when people are working in your team and you are, let's say, leading a team, so there are junior developers who are developing certain functions or certain methods for your class, and in that
Mm.
case they'll understand that if someone has written it as single underscore, I should not touch it. I should be very careful that these values are not changed or in any way or altered in any way. So that is the standard convention, and it will not be returned, I think, in the dir function also. Any private method you will not get
Okay.
in the dir function also. Yeah, it is kind of
Okay.
hidden,
Okay.
kind of abstraction kind of thing, which is hidden. So
Okay.
this is
Okay.
one part of your object-oriented programming concepts. So if you have probably heard in any other programming languages, so and this is very important thing. So as I said, so the object-oriented principles in compromise in Python, especially, we don't go much into inheritance, polymorphism, encapsulation, or abstraction. It is by
Mm-hmm.
default understood, and let's say we will mostly be using our libraries of Python. Okay. So when we use that
Okay. Okay.
libraries, no, inside that particular, when the developments are done, so let's say it is very core to development side of it. And when you will see, you will able to understand it, but I'll give you the overview here also. So you will understand that there
Okay.
are certain things which is following inheritance, if it is following polymorphism or not, whether encapsulations are done or not. So these libraries will use methods. Okay, like for in pandas, there is a method called as read underscore CSV, and you will pass on
Okay.
the file name, and there are other attributes, optional attributes that you can give to read the header or not, like that. So in that, these concepts are particularly used, okay, like inheritance, polymorphism, encapsulations, abstraction. For different method, different
Mm-hmm.
things are used, and that's how a library is built. So it is very core development side of Python, where you want to contribute to the development of Python, and you are pursuing your journey as a developer. In that case, it is required. Okay, so
Okay.
if
Okay.
I'll come back to it, like I explained you, there are uh, init class. So huh, there is init class. So there can be other methods also. Okay, so two of the very commonly asked things are iterators and generators. So I already told
Mm-hmm.
you about constructor. I am not mentioned in my PPT, but constructor is something which will help you to construct the entire class, to form the particular class. Okay, a list of
Okay.
instruction that has to be followed for that particular class. There is a initiator which will initiate the complete class. Cell will bind the attributes. There is different methods like start engine, stop engine, like this for that particular class. So this will help to, and in it, in my init also, right, I can call upon this also. I can call upon my methods also. Serve dot start engine, like I told, is equals to, I don't know whether it takes the keyword or not, but self it doesn't take, I think. Let me just check. I'll just revalidate it. It's been very long time since I did development, but yeah, you see it. I'll not do start engine. I I can directly do start engine also. Yeah. Okay. So it says that it is a bound method of this particular class and at this location. So it assigned it to this particular method also. Now, whenever you will load this class, right? So again, it is the kind of development part. Whenever you will load it, so it will be very efficient to access all the methods that you have defined. Even it is a very simple method, right? It can be very complex also. Lot of computations, lot of reading IO operations, a lot of processing power. So those kind of coding statements can be there. So when you will initiate it, so this will load the entire thing into whenever the class is initiated. Like here only it will call upon this particular function for this object, and it
Mm-hmm.
saves your memory. So it is something like when you are trying to build some payment gateways or something like that, right? So it is more of a developer kind of thing, but will not focus right now into that area because that is a complete different scope of this. You can always have a look of it, look onto Google and search more onto it. You can come up with doubts, we can clear it out, but as this course
Okay.
is mostly towards AIML, so we'll not require much of a development stuff.
Okay.
So iterator is something which iterates over the object, right? Like we define list, okay, and I want to iterate over the elements, okay. When I do indexing, so what it does, it in turns iterate over my things. Okay, and it understand that what to skip and what to return. Whenever I give the index value as 2 or something, so it will understand that I have to skip till here and return something. So for that, there is also a iter method, okay, which is iterator, basically an object, okay. It is a countable thing. Let's say you have certain items which is countable, right? Inside a list or inside a tuple, we know that we can count it out. One, two, three,
Mm-hmm.
four, something like that. There can be hundreds of
Mm-hmm.
record also, but it is countable. That is not changing. That is not going to change unless and until we are adding more values. Even after adding more values, the variable which will hold that particular list, no, it is countable, right? We can get the length of it, right? So
Yeah.
if I go back, let's say where I have defined any list, so you can see that it is executed or not, I don't know. Let's execute it. And let's say I also want add one cell and I want to check the length of this. So I can see there are my length. What I am getting is okay. This is doing some operations. That's why. Okay, I'll just print it over here so that, right. So we have 3 items only, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we are getting the length as 3. So it counts the all the items. So it is countable. So
Mm-hmm.
iterator is something which can iterate over the counting numbers or values, okay, one at a time. So iter function will give you the output, okay. So basically, let's say I want to make something as iteratable, okay. How we can do indexing in list is, the background story is the list is defined as an iteratable, okay. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how whenever we call the indexations, it gives us that particular value. It understand that it is an iteratable item, and we can give certain values to it. So that's how, let's say you have defined, let's say you want to make something as iteratable iterators, so that iterators will help you iterate over the values. Very, very simple. The line says like this. So I have, this is for an example, I have assigned a list, and let's say it is not an iteratable item, and I want to make it an iteratable item. So I can use the iter function, method, and from Python, and I can make it as a iteratable. And now whenever you make something as iteratable, what it does, it uses the next keyword. So whenever you want to get the particular value, right, and it will execute one by one. Let's say if I define one iterator, okay, it is a little bit of advanced concept which relies more into the development side, but just for explanation sake, let's say I have my list and I want to make it as iteratable. Okay, like how to explain? Understand you are trying to build a billing system, okay, and there is a serial number which you want to generate every time, and you want to make it as a continuous thing. So this iterator is I'll not give it a word iterator, it is okay, I'll give my iterator something, and I'll say iter method, and I'll pass on my list. I'll make it as an iterator. Now I want to print the items of my list. So in order to fetch the values, right, this next keyword is used. Okay, why we
Okay.
use iterator? Why not we can directly call on the values? Is because iterator is memory efficient. It 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 what you say it is way faster than, again, that comes in the concepts of space-time complexities. So it is way
Mm-hmm.
faster as compared to fetching directly from list. But as this list is small, right, so it is easier to fetch record. Let's say it is a very large list, so at that point
Okay.
of time it will be and if I pass on this, right, so it should give me the output as 1, right? And if I do it again, it will give me the output 2. So it understood that certain value is already been given. Likewise, if I do it the third time, the fourth, now it will
Okay.
stop the iteration.
And
Sorry.
if we directly iterator, it goes one by one. So can we directly skip one value and go to the next value using iterator in iter method?
Iter method is executing one by one. So in that case, you have to assign certain conditional statement inside it. Okay. As I
Okay.
said, that is a part of development. So you define certain method, and you have to define certain methods to skip to that part, because it holds the memory. It will not return the entire thing. It will hold the memory. So this next is return the next value from iterator. Okay, so the next method is whenever you are using iterator, there is always a next method which you have to use in order to return the value. So hold the memory, right? I said in the billing system, let's say you have a serial number which is already going on, but at the next point of time you don't understand that what serial number I should give. You may not recall it. So you can define an iterator that will automatically assign a serial number to it. So these are small
Okay.
things which can have multiple uses based on the requirements. Okay, it is
Okay.
something like that. And uh, to tell you about generators, so these are the two commonly asked things. So to iterate over an object itself, next will return the value one by one. Okay, not at all. Okay, and not it will
Okay.
not return the value. So okay, so this combines with generators. So generator is also a special type of iterator. Okay, so it is also
Mhm.
iteratable, but the method that is used inside it, right? So it uses yield keyword instead of return. So what does
Okay.
return do is return will return the entire thing at a time. Let's say it is returning a list, so it will return entire thing at a time. But yield
Okay.
helps to return the value one by one. using the next
Okay.
keyword. So that is
Okay.
how an iterator works. So generator is also a kind of iterator which holds the yield. So in this method, there is a yield keyword instead of return, and this yield will help you fetch the value like yield one, yield two, right? So that's how, let's say you were telling right now how we can skip it. So inside
Oh,
it, you have to write the code, okay, your logic, and once you have your logic in place, it will work accordingly. So you can have a logic where it says whenever an input comes, so skip till that and return something, or return for me this particular value. That's how
okay.
indexing works also. That's was the main
Okay.
thing. Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
basically it will pause your function, it will hold it into the memory, it will pause your function, and then it will maintain the state also, and then it will on using next, it will give you the output, and it also has a hold of memory. So whenever you are going to use next time, it will give you the other item of that iteratable. So that's how it
Okay.
works. Both uses this. Okay, so you have defined this you method and kind of generator, and there is yield one, yield two. You can pass on the list also, and you can say you can use a for loop or something, and then you can yield one by one elements. Okay,
Okay.
so that's how it is. Just a simple representation. You don't have to go into much detail, but yeah, you can always have, for curiosity's sake, you can go and look onto it. So there is something called as state persistence. So it maintains the state, as I said. So this is the state is maintained using the next keyword. So next, understand that there is already something which has been returned from the memory, and consider it as like pop item. So the last pop item then again pops, but it intact
Okay.
keeps the value intact. It will not remove anything. It just keeps the value intact, but it holds the memory where it left. Okay, from the last iteration. So that's how
Okay.
iterators
Yes.
and generator works. I'll give you this. You can just go through. And this is a
Okay.
simple explanation. Whenever someone asks what is an iterator, so iterator is something which help us to iterate over an item one by one, not all at
Okay.
once, but one by one. How we can do it is using the next keyword. Okay, and when the value exceeds the desired what do you say length, I have four elements, and if it exceeds to the fifth element, it will raises a stop iteration error, like we saw in here,
Okay.
right? Stop iteration.
Okay.
It will
Okay.
stop the iteration. So which is a
Okay.
background process again. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and when else someone asks generator, generator is a kind of iterator. Okay, so let's say when we're trying to create an iterator, right? So what happens is a generator is a function which helps to create an iterator, and it will help us to return the value by state persistence and using the yield keyword instead of return. Yield will return the value one by one, whereas the return keyword return the entire thing at once. It doesn't hold
Okay.
the memory, it doesn't hold the state, it just returns the value all at once. But yield holds the memory and maintains the state and returns the value one after the other when next method is called. Okay,
Okay.
so that's how.
Okay.
Uh, some benefits also I have given. You can also create a Fibonacci sequence. You can try it out. Fibonacci
Okay.
sequence with a generator. That is very
Okay.
good programming concept, very efficient. Okay, to
Okay.
create a
Okay.
programming a Fibonacci sequence, and
Okay.
some benefits: memory efficient, lazy evaluation, and very simple syntax. Iterators, about iterators uses this iter and next method. So it is just a definition, something which has a definition, like my name is Abhishek. It doesn't make any sense, but I something is defining me. If somebody has to refer to me, that's how iter and next method is the names of it, which is getting used. So I can use iter method, I can use next method, which is a predefined methods. Generators are simply, as I told, a simple iterator. Okay,
Okay.
so uh, why we use this is basically when we have large memory, okay, and we don't want to load everything once. it can overload the RAM, right? So whenever a large program is running and a large amount of data is flowing, and we want to create certain functions which will hold the data. So in place of that, we'll use the generators or iterators so that we can avoid uh, hanging of the system by overloading the RAM. So again,
Okay.
a core programming concept. Okay, so this is how you can always look into it, generate certain Fibonacci sequences and other things that will help you out to
Okay.
understand the generator concept more. Try it out. Basically, try to define a simple Fibonacci sequence, and on top of it, try to use iterator. So it is returning certain values, right? The last plus the current. So n plus sorry, n minus 2 plus n minus 1. So this is the current
Yeah.
value. So for
Okay.
that, try to implement an iterator. So it will help you out.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Coming back to the things. This is just for your understanding. So there is something called as file handling. We can always handle different files by reading it and
Mm-hmm.
writing to it. Okay. So there are certain methods. Let's say whenever we are dealing with text files, right? So at that point of time, we can uh, read the contents into a variable, and then modify some contents, and then again write it to some other files, or we can overwrite also by using the append method. So as it suggests that open is a keyword, with open is a syntax for handling the files. So with open is a keyword, what you have to open is this file you have to open, and this is the method by which you have to open. So this is the access level.
Read.
So R
Okay.
stands for read, just for reading the contents. Okay.
Okay.
Now you can change the you can store the contents into this content variable, any variable you can give, and you can modify it in next line of codes, but you cannot able to write it again to this file. You can, this can be any name. This is just an assignment as file. You can give as read file, or your any desired name. You can give it here, but you cannot
Okay.
do the right thing. You cannot do file dot write here if you are opening it with a read. Okay. So what, when you are trying to write something to that particular file, you have to use the write method. That's where you can
Okay.
use the dot write method. Again, file object, right? Object or method. Write is a method again. So for this file class. So let for this only I have kept few files. Okay. I thought that I'll use that. So let's say there is a diabetes.txt. If I have to
Mm-hmm.
read that file, I can just use the with keyword to understand that. And I want to open the file, diabetes.cs. No, let's open the txt file, txt, and with write method as my txt file. Okay. And I can save my details. Diabetes details. So again, diabetes details equals to uh, dot read. Method will read the entire content, whatever is present in this particular file. And what file
Okay.
it is, this is my file. And
Okay.
it will just do the assignment. And if I have to read it, I have to call on this variable or do the print. Okay, see, it is giving me all the things which is there in it.
Okay. But how will that file? How will this ID know that the file is in that location, or which location we
Okay,
to specify?
so
No need to specify any
you have,
location.
yeah, you have to give the entire path, but as it is
Okay.
in my root directory, that's where it is able
Okay.
to read directly over here. Let's say it is in some other directory, then you have to
Mm-hmm.
give it accordingly. You have to give this entire reference. This is the relative path, but you have to you can give the entire path or the relative part accordingly. It will read from there, like dash
Okay.
slash or something, my docs, something,
Okay.
something,
Okay.
dot something. like we do
Okay.
the file reading. Dot dot will
Okay.
represent the next level.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so that's how you can able to read it. And let's say I will change it to, I'll do certain assignment over here. Let's create another variable. Okay, modify diabetes. Con Before that, I'll open that file for you and show it. Okay, okay, this is my file. Okay, it
Okay.
reads each and everything. It will read the new line also. It reads the line gaps also. Okay,
Okay.
and let's say I'll change the content entirely. Okay, let's say I have modified the complete file with new set of statements. And let's say this is my new variable, and what I want to do is I want to write it to my file, this file. Okay, I'll try it
Uh-huh.
out, and I'll use the dot write method, and what I have to write is this, the value of
Okay.
this. See, it will not do it because IO operations on closed file is not possible.
Because R is
Only because,
given the
yeah. And if I open the same thing as right, with write command, you can open your file like this also, assign it to certain variable, but you can always follow the indentation to understand if it is happening. So what it will do is it will close the state of the file also. It will not kept it in open state. With if I do
okay.
with keyword, no, it will not open it. You can directly also do with some variable, assign it to open this as text, but
Okay.
this will keep the state. So if I'll do it right, so what it will do is it will remove everything what was there, and it will write my contents now. Okay, I'll close the older one. I'll refresh. Yeah. Now if I'll open this, you see everything is gone. Only this thing that I have kept is there.
Okay.
Let's say I want to add few things. Okay, I want to add few things. Let's say I'll assign this. I don't know whether this will get assigned or not. Okay, because it is a very large text and I am not sure about it. See, that's how it took the value. Let me rewrite it. I'll close the file. Let me rewrite it. Okay. Oh, 1 second. Can you talk a little? Oh, I'll refresh it. I'll open it again. So now I have all the contents over available, right? Now let's say I want to append the line whatever I written earlier. I'll copy it.
Okay.
Okay. Uh, okay. And this it is not working. Fine. I'll paste it and then I'll modify it. Yeah. Just for the clarification, I have rewritten it, and we can recheck it whether the contents got populated or not. Yeah. So it is here. Now I want to add one more line of it. Adding diabetes content. Now how I can do it? I can open the file in append mode. Okay. In append will help us to add the values, append the values to that whatever the
Okay.
content was already present, to append it. Okay, I think write or append, I don't know. And let's see, let's check with write. Very okay, what I am going to write. I have given this write this. Okay, let's recheck. Can I refresh it here? Okay, so it has added this line to this file. Can you see it?